Welcome everyone to Kamurocho Bros, and today we are here to talk about the recent news about Lost Judgment, or just Judgment in general, because we got some very interesting information and we're not too happy about it. So we're here to give you guys our opinions on the matter and if it really is the end of the Judgment series or not. And of course, I am David. Joining me today is Narakami. How are you doing, man?
Good, David, and what a way to start a channel. Some topics that we didn't think we'd be covering, some, not so happy topics about Judgment and everything. It's just, it has been a week for Lost Judgment news, and I'm sure we're going to get deep into it, but like you said, we're not very happy about the situations going on, and honestly, it's really put a damper on, the future of the franchise for a game that Lost Judgment looks so good right now, and it's so sad to see it just like it could go away at any second now because of this news. But let's go ahead and jump into the news right quick, David.
Yep, absolutely. So let me give our viewers here a bit of context about what we're talking about here. So you've seen the title, Lost Judgment to End the Judgment series. It's a possibility at this point. Let me quote what was given out to the public today as far as information goes and why are we talking about this subject today. So according to an article from a Japanese showbiz news site named Nikon Taishu, and this quote comes from Gaming Leaks and Rumor from Reddit. Don't quote me on that one, but it is an official post that was done by Nibel on Twitter, right?
Yeah, Nibelian. He's
exactly.
really reliable source on Twitter. Now,
okay,
like we said,
right here.
these are all rumors, guys.
It is. For now, it is, but we have reasons to believe that they're like reliable rumors at the same time because of who's reporting it. Now, the initial report comes from Kotaku, which is a Japanese news report site, and they're like super reliable. So I feel like the base, at least the structure of what we're going to talk about, is reliable, but we don't know the conclusion of things. So let me just jump into the context here, and I'm quoting the Reddit thread Gaming Leaks and Rumors here. So according to that news site, they did an interview with someone familiar with the situation. Sega wanted to publish Lost Judgment on PC and Steam to further extend the series' audience, but the protagonist actors Takuya Kimura's talent agency prevented them from doing so due to their very strict likeness right policy. Very limited pictures of their talents even are on the internet, says the article writer here. Sega thinks this doesn't look reasonable in terms of business and decides to end the series with the second entry. Talking about Judgment here, of course. Quote. So basically what they're gonna say, if I can summarize everything, is they're saying that that Yagami's voice actor, the original voice actor, the Japanese voice actor, he works with a talent agency, and they're not fine with Judgment being on PC because of mods. They want to protect their employees as much as possible, and they're afraid that modders and different mods would do things to their employees that they don't want. In that case, Yagami's voice actor. And here we have Sega on the other end of the bargain saying they don't think it is reasonable in terms of business to just take Judgment off, or at least make sure that Judgment is not getting anywhere close to a PC because of that reason. They think it's unreasonable. So today we're here to talk first of all about what do we think about this. Then we're gonna try to find like what would be a solution to fix this issue and hopefully keep Judgment running. And then at the end, we're going to we're gonna chat for a quick bit about what would be our reaction if this becomes an official thing and Judgment really is over with Lost Judgment as its last installment. So first up, let me ask you, Narakami, what do you think about this whole situation?
You see, the Japanese talent agencies are kind of weird. I don't know if anyone is familiar with it. I know I'm not, but from what I've seen, they're very picky about what they choose to... Like, there's a reason why Yagami doesn't sing karaoke in Judgment 1. If you guys don't know, if you guys didn't know, the protagonist of Judgment, Yagami, is really... His likeness is a lot to Takuya Kimura, the actor that voices him. They modeled Yagami's character after him and everything. And so, it's just, I guess I don't understand from an American perspective, but to me, even if you take it off PC, there's mods that can still be done on like PS4 and everything. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of goes into the reason why we haven't seen Judgment 1 on PC either. We got it as a Stadia exclusive at first. Does anyone know how to fucking mod Stadia? Who gives a fuck? Because no one has it in the first place.
I don't even know it's a Stadia, dude.
You shouldn't. There's watch the new Scott.
Google Stadia.
Watch the new Scott the Woz video. You'll know.
I did. Notification squad, dude.
Hey.
No, but the thing is, with this whole situation, the first thing that hit me, I'm like, why did you make your main character after the actual actor? Like, he's clearly based on the voice actor. Why did you do that if your main goal is to keep the privacy of your actor? It doesn't really make sense in my mind. It's like, why model your main character after the actor if you want your actor to be as independent of the character as possible? It doesn't really click with me. I don't really get the logic behind this whole situation.
So, a lot of companies do that now. I know you don't play The Last of Us, but some of their characters on there are modeled after their real-life actors. So, a lot of companies do that now to, one, I guess, save money on, creating, like, the characters and everything. I get that aspect. And Takuya is a big-name actor in Japan. They wanted a big-name actor to play as Yagami, so that's what they got. And so, I guess in Japan, they thought Yagami's looks as Takuya, as Kimura, would, sell copies and everything. And actually, in Yakuza 4, there was not a really similar situation, but there was a actor that they had to replace in the Yakuza 4 remasters. It was for Tanemura's character. His actor actually got in trouble with drugs and everything in Japan, and that's really big taboo. And they had to replace his model in the Yakuza 4 remaster with another model. So the Yakuza series, or Ryoga Gotoku, is no stranger to replacing their actors before. I'm sure we'll go over that later, but I just wanted to bring that up as a point of discussion. This is not new to the series, although it is a very weird situation at the very least.
Great comparison with Tanemura. I definitely didn't know that information, even though I played the games. It's like, oh, really? I completely forgot, which is cool that you bring this up. I mean, let's assume for a second that yes, they have the reason and that this is gonna happen. What do you think they could do to fix this whole thing? What do you think would be possible to keep Judgment rolling without this little issue here?
Obviously, the best course of action, if they are going to have these problems with this, with his agency, with Tanemura's agency, is to replace him. I hate to say it. You can either write off his character. I know it's too late in the process of Lost Judgment. It releases about 2 months from now. It's too late to write off his character. But maybe pursue a new story until they could come, up with a solution. Obviously, we would hate to see that, but it would be interesting to see it. Maybe even go for Kaito as a main character.
Right. I think that's a definite solution. I'll give you that. I think it's a bit hardcore though. Looking at this whole thing, I think another possibility would be to maybe just change the voice actor. If you keep the design being similar to him, it's not a complete copy. So.
But here's the thing. The likeness. I'm not sure how likeness contracts and stuff work, the legality of it. But
right.
But his character, Yagami's character, is his actor's, likeness and everything.
Okay, so
they can't just.
Yeah, if he's a copycat, I assume there's probably going to be some type of contract that blocks them from doing this.
We're not legal people, guys. We're not.
Yeah, we really aren't. So we're just speculating here. So if that's the case, well, as we mentioned, maybe drop the PC version for this release and change the direction of the series. I heard some people say kill Yagami and change the main character. That could work, but at the same time, I'm I don't know about you, but I really like Yagami's character. I feel like he has charisma and he's really cool. I like his design. I like how he interacts with, like you mentioned, Kaito, the other guys. He's a great main character. I like him. And it's crazy to me how RGG in general with their games, they just have those appealing characters that you don't want to lose. I remember seeing Japanese footage of Yakuza 7 before it was localized as Like a Dragon here, and I was seeing Ichiban and I was like, where's Kiryu? you like those characters. And, well, obviously we played the game, and good news is Ichiban lives up to the legacy of Kiryu easily. He's awesome. Great main character. Great new addition. Well, for Yagami, it's kind of the same thing. I'm saying right now that I don't want to see him go, but if it's the only thing in a business perspective that they can do to kill him off and give us a new character, well, we gotta trust the team, and we gotta trust him with a new character that would live up to the Yagami's legacy.
So the thing about this whole situation is that, as we've said ad nauseum on our personal channels, Sega is wanting for multi-platform releases.
Right.
They've been striving for that. They've been putting everything on PC.
Right.
All the Yakuza series, all mainline at least, is available on PC right now.
Where's Dead Souls?
Mainline, David.
Okay.
Mainline.
You're telling me it's not canon?
Oh boy, we got a lot. I got a lot to say about Dead Souls, but that's not
for another day.
Topic. That's definitely for another day in October.
Right. Yes.
Anyways, this goes against Sega's whole philosophy right now of releasing games. They want to release them as they say. We haven't exactly seen it yet, but they want to release it on as many platforms as possible right now. And this is just like, how could you let a talent agency, tell you how to release your games? To me, they should have no say in that. But that's just me. Maybe that's just a Japanese thing. Maybe that's just how the talent agencies work in Japan. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that, David? Do you think that talent agencies should be in charge of that, right?
No, I mean, I'm with you. I agree. It's probably just a Japanese thing. Their way of thinking may be different in that regards, and the fact that there's law involved. Probably there's definitely some type of contract that protects the character, I would assume, because when you hear it at first, it's like, nah, a talent agency can't take publishers' decisions, because it is up to the publisher to decide on which platform they publish their games. So if a talent agency of a voice actor is like, nah, you're not doing this, there must be some type of law involved in this whole thing. There has to be, because it doesn't make any sense.
Maybe they're trying to protect because he's such a big name in Japan.
Possibly.
Maybe they're just trying to protect him. But at the same time, I'm a big fan of any press is good press, almost in a sense. Now, obviously, there's bad press out there, but if you put Yagami, mod him into a different game where he's dancing or something, doing the specialist dance from Persona 4 Dancing All Night, that would get clicks, and that would, oh yeah, that's the guy from Lost Judgment. Right. I need to check that out at some point. That to me, it's like a talent agency shouldn't be making these decisions. Sega should. Maybe there's something in the contract. I don't know, but I mean, that's just ways that we think it could be. Hopefully, they'll, everything will smooth out eventually. Everything will be just fine. We'll get Judgment 3 with the same voice actor, no changes. But let's go on to the next topic, David.
Yep, definitely. So what would be our reaction if it really is the case? We wake up tomorrow. Well, we wake up 2 days after the release of Lost Judgment, and there's an official post from RGG, blog post saying, unfortunately, for legal issues, we have to put an end to Judgment. We're just assuming things. Both of us don't think this is what's going to happen, but if it was, what would be your reaction to this?
First off, I would be like, why couldn't they just hire another fucking actor or replace the character? But another thing, I would just be like, it would make me question the future of the Yakuza series in general, because the creator of Yakuza, Nagoshi, he did recently say during the Judgment Day event where they did unveil Lost Judgment.
Great event, by the way. Loved it.
Great event. If you want to see a lot of Judgment footage, go there. But he said that the Yakuza series would remain a turn-based JRPG, like it was in Like a Dragon or Yakuza 7, whatever you want to call it. And that Judgment would retain the old Yakuza combat style, the brawling, button masher kind of thing. And that would really make me question mainline Yakuza's future. Do they go, would there be enough demand for them to go back to that side of the combat? Or, would they create another spin-off title? What do you think, David?
That's a very good point, because to me, the fact that Nagoshi mentioned that is it's basically a confirmation that Lost Judgment is not the end. That's pretty much it. It's like, hey, we have this big plan for both series. We're keeping Yakuza turn-based, and Lost Judgment is going to keep rolling with this beat-em-up style. So it's basically a confirmation. I'm glad you brought this up. So for me, I mean, my reaction would be, at first, I'd be really sad. Because for those of you who don't know, like, obviously both of us are big fans of anything RGG, but I missed the initial launch for Judgment. I didn't play it on PS4. It was on my backlog for way too long. Now, of course, I was talking to you, Narukami, and at some point I was like, hell, what am I waiting for? I need to play Judgment, and at the same time, they announced that sweet PS5 version. So I picked it up, and I played it this year. I finished it like 2 months ago, so I'm a new Judgment fan, like a long-time Yakuza fan, but Judgment, I'm a new fan. And this game, like, I messaged you during my whole playthrough about random things, and I'm sure you remember, I was like, man, I'm liking this thing way more than I was anticipating. Like, it is a solid 9 out of 10 for me. Easily a 9 out of 10. The characters are great, the music is great, the story is fantastic, the mix between the law side of things and the underworld is fascinating to me. I love it, and I can't get enough of it. Like, I definitely want to play some more at this point. So when I heard that a sequel was in development, I was glad, and I still am really looking forward to Lost Judgment. It is easily my second most anticipated game of the year. So if they end it with Lost Judgment, I'm gonna be sad. I really am going to be sad, because the wait for a Yakuza game to another can be really long. So if we get some Judgment games in the meanwhile, dude, let's go. I'm ready.
What do you think will play a bigger role in us getting a Judgment 3? The legality of everything happening right now, or the sales of Lost Judgment?
That's a very good question, because clearly for now, without this legal thing and without the sales of the Lost Judgment, we know that they're aiming for more games. Like that Nagoshi segment in the Lost Judgment's reveal at Judgment Day clearly shows that. So I think both have their saying in it, because if Lost Judgment, let's say Lost Judgment sells 3 million copies, massive success, like they're Sega, they're blown away, it's the biggest, best thing they've ever had. Okay, let's try to make it a bit extreme. Well, if that happens, clearly the law portion of things is going to be put to the side, because they're going to be in solution mode. We cannot drop a 3 million seller. We're gonna change the main character. F the loss portion of things. That's what they're gonna do. On the other hand, if it's a massive flop, and clearly the game has a pretty big budget, if it sells like 200k, well, in that case, they could just maybe move on to something else. Create a new Yakuza spin-off, once again with the brawler style, but drop the Judgment name and go in a complete other direction. Or they could go back to Yakuza and start making more spin-offs of mainline Yakuza, like Dead Souls, like Ichin, Kenshin, stuff like that. So I don't know. What do you think? That's how I see it.
I think that the sales will define whether it gets a sequel or not the legality. Like we discussed earlier, I don't know if we mentioned it so far, because we've had a really good conversation so far. I feel like the sales are going to define whether or not we get a sequel or not. The legal, as we said before, we went on, it's that it's too late to write Yagami off.
It is.
The game launches in 2 months. They can't. If this would have happened maybe a year ago, sure, go ahead and change the story, write them off if you really got to. Mm-hmm. But now you don't really have much of a choice. Mm-hmm. So unless they make a side movie or something like that, something like Final Fantasy does for like their side movies or something. But at this point, it's like you either just write them off completely, which you can't right now, or you start a new character with a new character, which I feel is like the most possible solution at this point if this stuff doesn't get resolved. I think that stuff will get resolved. Right. Obviously, this goes against Sega's mentality right now of getting every game on each platform that they can right now. I think we will eventually see a Judgment Steam release. It would do way too well with sales. Mm-hmm. That's just my opinion. But I think that's the only reason that it's still on Stadia right now and the original Judgment isn't on Steam.
Yeah, and we also got to remember, we're just talking about a PC version right now. This is the only thing that we're talking about. So it's not necessarily the end of Judgment. It is more like Sega wanting to put their games on multiple systems. Well, they have this IP now, Judgment, that cannot go to PC because of the legality of things. So it's a whole mess. I hope they figure this out. Personally, I'm not too worried. I read those articles today and I was like, okay, there's some negativity in there. Clearly, there's some negatives that I don't really like what I'm reading, but I'm not worried. As you mentioned, I feel like if Lost Judgment is a success, I don't think it's over for Judgment. I think they're going to figure this out.
I think Sega has enough backing in this game that it will be a success.
Yes, definitely. Thank you all so much for listening to this little conversation here. We definitely wanted to talk about those news when it comes to Lost Judgment. Is it the end of Judgment? Or is it just the end of a PC version? Or are they going to change the formula? Please drop a comment below and let us know what you think. As always, if you enjoyed the video, drop a thumbs up. It helps a lot. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to Kamurocho Bros. If you want to stay up to date on any type of content, RGG Studio. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.
See you guys.